Namaste. My name is Vivek. I hear an echo from somewhere. Okay, it's gone now. Let me start my timer and let's get going. Sorry about the confusion at the beginning, but this is the 10th episode in a series that I have started with a view to help entrepreneurs who have lots and lots of ideas and would like to succeed with lots of projects. As in the previous episode, in this episode, the focus is again on processes and stages. But this episode, we go a bit more detailed. I have great pleasure in welcoming my panel of business owners today. We have David and William Rock today.
Thanks. I appreciate the intro.
As usual in the agenda for today, we begin with just a minute where each panel member takes center stage and gives 60 seconds elevator pitch, followed by a short presentation covering the topic of the day. This week again, I would tell you a story snippet from the popular science fiction TV series, Star Trek: The Next Generation. This week's episode, I'm using the Arsenal of Freedom. Then we shall have a discussion with the panel members sharing their experiences and insights. After that, I shall talk about what's coming up in the next episode and we conclude for today. As in the previous episodes, I aim for half an hour, but I would not dare to cut off anyone when the discussion is lively and adding value. We have come to the just a minute section. Each of us will have a minute each, and we shall give you our 60-second elevator pitches. Within a minute, each of us will try to explain why anyone should contact us, how it would be helpful for them, and how can they contact and connect with us. There will be a penalty if you go over a minute, which is meant to be fun. The penalty is you will have to say the sentence, integrate, simplify life 3 times. Penalty for me would be decided by the panel members. So let me start the whole thing going. I have a 1-minute timer set up here. Let me start it, and here we go. Namaste. My name is Vivekanand, and Vivek Technology Integrators is my company. I believe in living a simple life. I believe in thinking differently. I am proud to share my beliefs with Steve Jobs and Leonardo da Vinci, who said simplicity is the ultimate in sophistication. Here's my simple way. Avoid the cowboys, work with the Indian. Let the Indian handle technology. And you live an integrated, simple life. Maybe you have lots of projects and you are struggling to find someone who can integrate and simplify. Contact me through my Google Plus page or my website, wake-technology.com. Hope that came in within 60 seconds. Yes. My timer tells me I'm on time. I shall call out each of your names, pin you on the main screen, and start a timer. As I call your name, you also need to unmute yourself. I'll start with David. David, unmute, please.
Wow, I had to click 3 times, Vivek, to unmute myself. 3-time click. And this time, I don't think it's me. I think it might be Google technology. I don't think it's me this time. But thank you for having me as a part of this panel. And I'm happy to say, and honored to say, I've been a member since episode 1, and boy, we're in episode 10 already. My name is Small Biz David. You can turn the timer on right now. My name is Small Biz David. For 40 years, over 40 years, I have been bringing small business solutions not only to the marketplace, but to individual business owners themselves. Small business is my passion. To that end, I have set up some workshops that we are going to be initiating in the next couple days, because there are only 100 days, a little over 100 days left in business year 2014. Small business owners must ask themselves, what has worked well for us in 2014? What changes do we need to make in 2015? Our workshops will help you answer those questions.
You are just on the dot, David.
Oh, I'll say it anyways. Simplify, integrate, life. I'll say it anyways. Because I believe it.
William, unmute yourself and yeah.
Well, my short intros. I think 60 seconds is a little short for me, but anyhow, I'm just kidding. William Rock here, internet marketing geek, teacher, and trying to live life one day at a day, and basically looking at this model that you've created and just blows me away. So back to my intro, just a geek, loving the internet, loving helping companies grow their business, especially even through the holidays. We've got the holidays popping up, and so many people are so behind the time. They're going to find that out during the holiday season, but that's a different story. That's me.
And how to reach you?
How to reach me right here on Google+. That's kind of where I've been hanging out these days, and I've actually forwarded my website to the actual profile, so it should be fun.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, excellent. Okay. We have now come to the topic of the day. I shall show you a short presentation. As usual, a short story snippet. The original plan was to cover 4 processes today, but then I felt that it would be rather too much, so covering only 2 in this episode. TOTD story. Today I shall tell you a snippet from an episode of Star Trek entitled The Arsenal of Freedom. In this episode, you would see how following wrong processes and ignoring the purpose of the processes can destroy an entire civilization. Enterprise is ordered by Starfleet to investigate the disappearance of light cruiser USS Drake. Apparently, all intelligent life on the planet Minos has disappeared. Citizens of Minos developed highly advanced weaponry and typically sold it to both sides of a conflict. Just a comment here. Are we seeing this happening on Earth now? Unfortunately, we seem to be doing that. But enough said, I'm not going to say anything more about that. When Enterprise reaches Minos, they receive a hail from an automated system. The citizens of Minos had developed an automated system to sell their weaponry. The automatic salesman says their tagline, peace through superior firepower. Cautiously, Commander Riker, Lieutenant Tasha Yar, and Data beam down to Minos. They encounter highly advanced automatic weapon systems that adopt and change according to the capabilities of the opposition. Commander Riker gets encased in some kind of energy field and gets incapacitated. Captain Jean-Luc takes an exceptional step and decides to beam down himself with Dr. Beverly. But Data has analyzed the situation and has a plan to release Commander Riker from the incapacitating energy field encasement. However, the automatic weapon systems attack again, and in the commotion, Jean-Luc and Beverly fall into an underground cellar. They all find that their communicators no longer work. Geordi LaForge on board Enterprise, who was given charge of Enterprise, finds himself under a lot of stress as some automatic and highly advanced weapon system attacks Enterprise and the entire ship is in danger. The weapons seem to be highly elusive as it is cloaked and invisible. In the meanwhile, Jean-Luc finds out that the automatic weapon selling system is active and the cellar where they fell into is where its controls are. What has been attacking the Enterprise and the away team on planet Minos is actually a demonstration of this weapons system. The citizens of Minos had developed such an advanced weapon system that they themselves lost control of it and their entire civilization got destroyed by their own weapons. But the weapon systems and the weapons vending system are still active. Jean-Luc then has to convince this automatic selling device, which takes the form of a human being, holographic projection and all that, that he is convinced by the capabilities of the weapon system and he is buying the system and no need for further demonstration. It's only then that the attack on the Enterprise and the away team on planet Minos stop. The point here is you can develop a complex fail-safe system, but you have to make sure that it is a system you really want. Otherwise, you would be in trouble. Let's get back to Earth and present time and hope that our civilization is not under threat by our own actions. Now, I need to do a screen share at this point, and so I shall pin David. David?
Yes, sir. Reporting for duty, sir. As always, I enjoy your Star Trek analogies. It's amazing. And how old is Star Trek, Vivek? Is it 30 years old?
The original one was. This one, I think, is I think it is 20 years or something like that.
It's amazing how when we were watching those episodes 20 years ago in our lives, where we were in our lives at that time, and we kind of watched and studied, and we saw the things that they were doing, the things that they were talking about, not really realizing that there was going to be plenty of real application to a lot of those things in 20 years later in our lives. And I've enjoyed your finding the episode that ties into your discussion of the day, and it's been a very interesting experience. And I noticed once again, as I did last week, and about your 5th or 6th slide, he was wearing Google Glass. And I have one other comment. I am waiting, Vivek. I don't know if you'll do it or not, but I'm waiting for that first slide that you used to introduce yourself, to have Stephen, Leonardo, and Vivek. You have your avatar at the bottom. How cool is that? Okay, let's go. Let's look at this mind map here.
Yeah, I use a software called as iMindMap, but I'm not using its built-in presentation, as I have been saying almost every time. It has a presentation mode, but it takes over the entire screen, and when I have 2 monitors, it takes over both of them, and I can't do anything else when I use that presentation mode. So that means I can never use it in a HOA until Think Busan, the company that develops iMindMap, changes things. Anyway, to keep it simple, I am using screen captures of the mind map, and let's get going. This is the mind map I explained in the previous episode. The PRINCE2 manual pictured there explains each process by covering purpose, objective, context, and activities. And I have explained that in the previous episode. I shall try to adopt a similar approach, but I shall be using mind maps. This is a mind map showing all of the 7 processes as defined by PRINCE2. Today I shall be covering directing process used by the project board, and one process used at the beginning of a project, starting up process. Let's look at the directing process, which is mainly used by the project board. That's a mind map for directing project process. Let me zoom into each branch and explain. The purpose of this process is to enable the project board to be accountable for the project's success by making key decisions and exercising overall control while delegating day-to-day management of the project to the project manager. The objective of this process is to ensure that there is proper authority to indicate to initiate the project, deliver the products that are part of the project, and close the project. This process also ensures that the management direction and control are provided throughout the project's life, and that there is a corporate interface. For a small business, this means the project board are aware of their authority and use it appropriately. This process actually starts from the end of starting up process, which I will be covering shortly, but this lasts till the end of the whole project. It includes another process called as closing project process. The context is that the project is managed by exception, and there is two-way information flow between the corporate structure, if there is any, and the project board. This process has 5 different activities. First one is authorize project initiation after viewing and approving the business case, project approach, project brief, and plan for initiation stage, which is the next stage in the whole process. Authorizing the project is the second activity. This is done after making sure that the management strategies exist and are adequate for configuration management, risk management, quality management, and communication management. The project controls and project plans must exist before authorizing the project. Third activity is authorizing either the stage or an exception plan. It is important to note that any stage should start only after the project board has authorized it. If there is a major change and there is an exception plan, the project board has to authorize the exception plan. In the Star Trek story, we saw Captain Picard take an exceptional action of beaming himself down because the situation became exceptionally different when Commander Riker was incapacitated. The directing project process has the important activity of giving ad hoc directions to the project as and when required. One of the major activity is also to authorize project closure. This is to make sure that the project is properly closed and the benefits are achieved. This action happens whether or not the project went through its entire course or had to be closed for whatever reason in the middle. This closing process has to happen, and authority has to come from those who are directing the project. That is the activities branch of the directing project process. Now this is the full mind map for directing project process. I have just explained to you the directing process used by the project board. As I said before, this process starts from the end of starting up process and lasts till the closing and including the closing project process. Let's look at the first of the processes that need to happen at the beginning of the project, the starting up process. This is a mind map, and I know it has a lot on it. So let me zoom in on each branch and explain. The objective of the starting up project project process is to ensure that there exists business justification, sufficient authorities to initiate the project. It ensures that there is sufficient information for the project to start. It also ensures the management roles are appointed and a suitable project approach is selected. The context is the project mandate, which may have a formal feasibility study for the project or a non-formal request for a new feature or a facility. The terms of reference and sufficient information to identify the project board executive should exist. The project mandate, which comes from the corporate in a big organization, forms the input for this process. The purpose of this process is to ensure prerequisites for initiating project are in place. It seeks to get answer to the question, why this project, and also, do we have a viable, worthwhile project? This process ensures objectivity and planning. Now, this process has 6 different activities. First one is done by the corporate body, and it is to appoint the executive and also maybe the project manager. Although the executive may be authorized and asked to appoint a suitable individual as the project manager. The second activity is to capture previous lessons from other projects. A lessons log is created and populated with previous lessons. New lessons would be added to this log during the project. The third activity is to design the structure and appoint a project management team. This may consist of project assurance, quality assurance, and support roles. The next activity is to prepare an outline business case, which gets refined and built upon during the initiating process, which is the next process that happens. The next activity is to select a project approach and assemble the project brief. This would have the project mandate. The project brief would contain the scope and definition of this project. The project approach describes how it will be delivered. The next activity would be plan for the initiation stage. Such a planning is required mainly because lots of senior people would be involved, and without proper planning, the initiation would be very problematic. It's not that you just start something and get going. Yes, you can do that, but if you do that, you won't have the buy-in of the senior management, and it's likely to fail. That is the activities branch of the starting up process. Now the project mandate is refined into project brief. Project mandate is usually just one or two sentences, maybe a short paragraph. Project brief will cover a bit more than that. The outputs of this starting up project process are the project management team, the project brief, the project approach, the plan for initiation stage, lessons log, and daily log. That is the entire starting up project process mind map. I have covered a lot of concepts. I know it's quite a lot, and viewers may want to rewind and review it once again later on. But we have now come to the share experiences section, and our panel has been patiently waiting, so let me pin one of them. I shall pin William.
I get to play first in the game show. I'm just blown away, my friend. I've been sitting back really watching, and like I put in the comments, I may be a geek, but this stuff is making my head hurt, so I'll be watching this again. This is so important for businesses today to actually understand this. I've watched way too many times companies go down starting this track with great intentions. Excuse me. And with those great intentions, they fail halfway through that process. And I think this kind of goes back to addressing that a little bit more and really helping me to understand how to guide executives and teams of other folks, like I do all the time, in a better direction, really. And that goes back to even all the other events. You know, I know we're on 10, but wow, I mean, all of those hangouts have been eye openers for me as somebody that trains executives. So as that goes, as you know, Kudos to you. I mean, you're a smart geek. I love it. So that's my 2 cents, and I'm sticking to it.
David?
Actually, the question or maybe concern that I had was very well addressed in William's comments to you. As a matter of fact, you know, when a small business consultant, yourself, myself, William, and William's a great example.
I thought you were not using that word at all.
Okay, you two are consultants. As William calls me, I'm a geek. It's critical. It's really critical that when you go before a large organization, and William said it well, the kinds of folks that he talks to, the kinds of companies that he deals with, that you go in with this mind map, if you will, and you go step by step to make sure the project is started properly and is concluded properly. I mean, that was your theme for today. I'm wondering, and I don't want to sound negative on what I'm going to say right now, but I'm wondering, what about a situation where we are advising other folks, and they too have a small organization? I'm wondering if something like this could be overwhelming to let's put it this way: the smaller the business, either the person delivering the project solution or the company receiving the project solution, the smaller we are, the more what's the word I'm looking for? This might scare us away. This whole approach might scare us away. But what about small organizations? How can you bring all of this discussion down and make it really applicable to a smaller organization?
My response to that would be that irrespective of the size of the project, of the companies involved, consultants or collaboration, whatever you want to call it, irrespective of the size and even complexity, we do go through all these things in a, we may not think about that's what we are doing, but we still do all of those processes. It's just that when you have a mind map, or when you know what are the exact steps that you need to happen, then you would do them automatically almost. It's as I always say, it's simplicity does not mean that you get rid of sophistication. No.
That goes to a great point, David. I mean, it goes back to even your book. When you actually wrote that book with the actual flyouts where they could write down the answer, they might be not pertinent to that time or thought, but then it brought an idea. And I think this brings back to perfect identification back on one of the slides of mind maps that he showed of the process going from approval and then how does it get executed. That's the first starting point. You get the information, the executives, then you have the rest of the plan that they can read over, and then go from there. Then the rest of the plan happens and goes forward. But it doesn't matter if it's a small business or a large enterprise, the same flow process and ideologically thinking still plays a part in that business owner or executive or sales team on how do we deploy this properly. And I think it goes back to that whole thing, is how do we do it right. It might be a lot of steps, and a lot of people might be confused, but I think today it's been broken down into something even that sales executive can understand, and I think that's important.
To that point, a counter discussion might also be that you two, being the two great consultants that you are, if you took this mind map and the application of this mind map into a client meeting, that is worth your every penny of what you would be charging that client for your services, just because you're showing them the best way, the logical way to attack not attack, but to execute a project, a process, and that's worth the price of admission alone. Now, when you can build your solution and fill in the boxes, if you will, all the things that need to get done, then it's you're the hero, you're the superhero, you're the Star Trek hero.
And that breaks a good point there, David, because you can pitch anything you want, but until you can understand what you're pitching, then the slide deck is irrelevant in the meeting. But if you can pitch it and have it implemented to their business during that meeting, it might be more powerful.
What a novel idea, William, to understand the thing that you're pitching. What a novel idea.
I wish any of us could actually see that Star Trek episode, which I just explained while we are actually discussing, as in because in that episode, that automated sales holographic projection, that to me kind of epitomized a salesman who never listens to what you have to say. In that episode, that automated system goes on telling you what the features it has got and why you should buy it, and
I know exactly what you're saying, and we've talked about it. We have talked about what you're saying in past shows, past HOAs, that all too often salespeople are pitching solutions before they know what the problem, what the challenge, what the pain really is. They've got the solution before they understand the big picture, and that's an important concept for small businesses to grasp, that you cannot provide a solution till you listen to the client, the business that you're addressing, explain to you exactly what their pain is. And I just commented on something I read this morning. Les Dossie, a person that we all know, was he was describing a situation where he went into a meeting, big meeting. Client was a big prospective client, and he came out of that meeting like, wow, Les came out of that meeting, wow, what just happened? Can I offer a solution to the situation? And then he went back to his folks, his group, his whatever, and they did a whiteboard, and they did a diagram, and they had all the challenges of the meeting were coming out of the mind of the individual. And I thought, when I first read it, I thought Les was talking about how he came out of the meeting, and it was not that at all. It was how his interpretation of what was going through the CEO's mind during that meeting. And I think it plays well into what we're talking about here, because the process of PRINCE2, the system that is required to execute PRINCE2, it's logical. It's laid out. It's steps, and all you need to do really is fill in the boxes and make it pertinent to the situation at hand. Just fill in the boxes.
One of the principles is actually that it has to be tailored. It again and again says it's one of the core very important aspect, which is it has to be tailored to suit the needs of the client or the project, or that there are so many steps, and what that means is you can, if some of the steps are not relevant for you, you can skip them, but it still says that you should be aware of this aspect, that you should be aware that you are skipping one step. It's not that that step is not there. You're just skipping it.
Well, you have created. Well, not you didn't create, but you are sharing the template. You are sharing the template.
Yeah.
And all you need to do as a small business owner, if you're a service provider, not selling a product, but if you're a service provider, is take this template and, like you just said, make it appropriate to the situation at hand, and it becomes a no-brainer. Then you have logically set out what the challenge is, set out what the problem is, and here's what we need to do. Here's the steps that we need to go through to meet the challenge. It's you've simplified, integrated life.
Exactly, and the important point which I took from that episode, Star Trek episode, is that they created a system. They created a system which is fail-safe. Yes, but what happened in the end? That system was so powerful. It was so all-encompassing. It covered every aspect of what somebody could do, and which meant that the whole civilization which actually developed that system was destroyed by the system. So the point is, you can create a complicated system, but make sure that that's exactly what you want. Don't put things that shouldn't be there. So even the steps that I'm explaining, it's not necessary that each step you have to follow. No, you should be aware of each step, and if you're not following a step, you should know what happens if you don't follow it, and why you should follow, and so on. That's the reason why every process, it explains why the process is required and what's the objective. So you can make a decision, you can judge for yourself, is this required? And these are the steps involved. Yes, this is the context, this is the objective of this process. Is this really required? If not, okay, maybe you can skip the process, but you should be aware that you are skipping the process.
Oh, do you mean skip the process or skip the step?
Yeah, skip the step. Yes.
Yes, and to bring it even closer to home, as we speak, I am taking I am moving a website that I have, a domain that I have, to a secure environment to William Rock, and so we just had a discussion over the weekend, and he used the word simplify. He needs a layout. He needs something, and he said, David, make sure you keep it simple. So as we integrate it into the system, you know, it becomes an easy process, something that we can do and supposed to happen. And here's how it's supposed to happen. But it guarantees the security to my website that William, that's his main objective, is to create as secure a website for me as I possibly can. Isn't it interesting, William, the discussions that you and I have been having for the last couple of days, they fit right into this whole discussion today of, well, we have a project in mind, and there are steps to that project, and I'm going to make sure, William, at the end of this, that we go down the checklist that Vivek just created for us and make sure that we've covered everything.
And that's up to you as Small Biz Dave to go through all that to figure out with me what those obligations are going to be.
Are you giving me a homework assignment, William?
I do that
It's
for all my
it's it, coming back to in that in the PRINCE2 terminology, methodology, etc. And the project that you are describing, David, what you have, you are going to be the project executive for the project board. In that scenario, William probably would be the senior supplier. What is the role that's yet to be decided is who is going to be the senior user.
Well, in a sense, I'm a senior user also.
Yeah, you can be. Yeah.
But no, once again, wow, you know, it's interesting what we just did, Vivek. I challenged you just 15, 20 minutes ago. Well, you know, it's necessary what you present when you're dealing in a large organization. Make sure that everybody understands what their roles are, what the objectives are, who's going to be accountable for all the various things. And I challenged you to make it in the terms of the small business mentality. We don't have large organizations, and we just did it. We just completed the circle. Thank you. See how smart you are.
That's a perfect analogy, David. I mean, we did touch the first question at the highest level and then lowest level, but we really didn't give an example when you bringing that up, brings that example, because it takes a lot of responsibility to the project leader. And at this point, you're the project leader organizing a team, and that team is going to actually follow your lead on what your objectives are and through the process. When you miss a step, then there's a possibility that that missed step could hurt you in the future.
Wow.
But like Viv said, look at that process that you're skipping and make sure that that's something that's not relevant to your business. Just because you're skipping it, just because maybe it might be too difficult.
That's a great point. And what's more basic to any business than development of a website? That's the basic to any business in today's world, and if it isn't, it ought to be, as you and I have discussed, and we all know that's the right way to go. But as I just listened to you, William, I'm thinking that, you know, I'm not doing all of this. I'm not going through this exercise just for myself. I'm going through this exercise so that I can hopefully create an environment where other small businesses, our community, our Dreaming with Entrepreneurs and Google Plus community, can benefit from it. It doesn't matter what I think, in a sense. What matters is what good does it do for other folks? What value does it bring to other folks?
Absolutely, and that goes back into the other point where the plan is going to change too. It's going to change and adapt.
Sure.
It's not always going to be the same.
Yeah, exactly. In the coming weeks, you would see that the plan that you have, including the business case, none of it can be written in stone. None of it. It has to undergo change. It has to be a live document which gets modified as and when required. So yes, all of that has to be. I mean, that's one of the reasons why configuration management strategy plays a major role there, which says that when you do any change, you know that you have done this change and this is the time when you did that, and if there is a need for you to go back and change it back to what it was before the change, you will be able to do that. So that's the whole point of all these different systems, strategies, and so on.
I make one more point, and I think it goes back to David's concept as far as this 100 days out for the actual rebuilding or the business plan going to 2015. You could even simplify this plan into a mind map that allows you to follow the stages of the process that you need for building up to that plan come January 1st, and knowing how to deploy that properly coming the first day of January after you come back from the holiday and you're all exhausted and nobody wants to do any work. You still have a business to run, but it goes back into those concepts. It'd be cool to find out if you can create a mind map with David on something like that. I think that would be helpful for a lot of businesses that are coming into the holiday as well as the new year. What are they going to do with their businesses? It goes right back to what you've been talking about.
It's a great concept, and thank you for that. But I'm going to, in the true spirit of small business collaboration, my major theme. I would make I'll make an endorsement right now that if there's anybody that needs assistance in building a technology platform, a website platform, which in and of itself is a technology platform, there couldn't be, you couldn't take it to two better people than Vivek and William. I see. I didn't think about it till I've been listening today that there's a great potential collaborative force here at work. May the force be with you. And well, that's a different show. That's a different show. It makes a lot of sense, William, and thank you for stimulating an idea with me. Thank you.
You could say that like this.
I was gonna say the next thing is the we're on the same page there, bud. Star Wars, different theory, different concept. Star Trek.
Hold on to that thought till we get into the green room. I got a story to share with you guys in the green room.
that was indeed a great discussion, and we have now come to the what is coming up next week. In the episode next week, I shall cover the second process that happens at the beginning of the project, the initiating project process, and the manage stage boundary process, which is handled by the project manager. And the other remaining three processes would be covered in the episode after that. We have now come to the end of the episode today. Closing comments, please, David?
These HOA discussions get better and better each week. I mean, not that they've been bad, but they get stronger, and we can drill them down and make sense out of them to really bring value to our businesses. And that falls right into your opening statement that you make every week, Vivek, and about entrepreneurs and projects and what their businesses are all about. And we're bringing it home to you guys, so we'll see you next week. Same time, same place.
William?
This has been, I still can't get over this show. I mean, all the other shows, but this one does point out some of the things that we really have touched on as far as, you know, business planning all the way to the future. Where are we headed? Why are we headed there? I think the why comes into play a lot. But this guidance is so helpful for me as a coach to help bring that understanding a little bit more to reality faster than some of the times where you're trying to teach something this way, but they just don't understand it or get it. And it makes it easy for me to go to basically say, come back to these shows, watch these, and come back to see me, and we'll talk again. But at the same time is, you know, how do you interpret what their business is to this concept at the same time? And I think collaboration of all those elements play really, really powerful pieces in any business. Doesn't matter small or biz, or if you're starting a company. I mean, there's There's so many uses for this as a starting out company where you start at first and you end with being able to be responsible for your company and continue the process because you've learned. And I think most people fear the learning part.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure you would all want to know more. As this is a series of HOAs, there is more to come. As I said before, I had originally planned to cover 4 processes in this episode. Then I thought it would be rather too much and there won't be enough time for discussion. So I said, okay, split it into postpone it to the next episode. So thank you for watching the show. Do please share the link to this show on Google Plus and YouTube and so on. You can reach me through my Google Plus profile or through my website wake-technology.com. My closing comments as usual are: integrate, simplify life. Thank you.